Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Fort Myers, live and online. Here, our mission is to love, grow, and serve, and we are so grateful to have you all with us today. My name is Mary Cline Golbitz. I've been a member of this congregation for almost 12 years, and am honored to have been commissioned here as a lay minister. It is such a delight, an honor, and a blessing to be back here with you all in person. And I'm so honored to be leading the service with our fantastic Reverend Sue, our wonderful music team, and choir, which is part of the music team as far as I'm concerned, and of course our wonderful tech team that makes it possible for us to be here live and online. Thank you all so much. We are a spiritual home for many with diverse views. At UUCFM, we seek to foster a climate of purposeful inclusion and safety for all people, regardless of race, ethnicity, age, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, spiritual path, or national origin. Here, we don't have to think alike to love alike. We'd like to extend a special welcome today to any of you joining us as our guests, either here or online. We are so happy that you're here today. We ask that you please fill out a connection card that is found in the narthex at the connection table, welcome table, or connection table. And if you are online, you can find that card virtually in the chat box. The most important gift you can give us today is the chance to get to know you better. And members can use the card for a change in contact information or a caring concern that you'd like Reverend Sue or our pastoral care associates to address. We honor and express our gratitude to the Calusa tribe of Southwest Florida, on whose unceded lands we are honored to sit today. And also to the current guardians and caretakers of the magnificent Everglades and other lands of this area, the Seminole and the Miccosukee. We honor you, we recognize you, and we celebrate you. If you're here in person, masks are optional. If you're attending by Zoom, please keep your microphone muted and refrain from using the chat box unless you're asked to do so. You might wish to view the service on speaker view for an optimal experience. We're so grateful to be here with you all. And now, let us begin our service with our call to worship.
Our opening words this morning are from the book Being Mortal by Atul Gawande. Being mortal is about the struggle to cope with the constraints of our biology, with the limits set by our genes and cells and flesh and bone. Medical science has given us remarkable power to push against these limits, and the potential value of this power was a central reason that I became a doctor, Atul. But again and again, I have seen the damage we in medicine do when we fail to acknowledge that such power is finite and always will be. We've been wrong about what our job is in medicine. We think our job is to ensure health and survival. But really, it's larger than that. It's to enable well-being. And well-being is about the reasons one wishes to live. Those reasons matter not just at the end of life or when debility comes, but all along the way. Whenever serious sickness or injury strikes and your body or mind breaks down, the vital questions are the same. What is your understanding of what's happening to you? What are your fears and your hopes? What are the trade-offs you're willing to make and not willing to make? And what is the course of action that best serves this understanding? These are some of the concepts we will explore today. Welcome to our worship. Let us join together in lighting our chalice. Please rise as you are willing and able.
The words of our chalice lighting today were written by Pat Uribe-Lichty. We come together to light this chalice with our tired minds and bodies, with our confusion and our questions, our uncertainties and our fears. We come together with our hopes, with our past and our ideas, our passions and our faith. We come together bringing all of who we are, trusting that in gathering together we will be renewed, and that together we can create the world that we long for.
Let us join together in our covenant with the words that are printed on the screen. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Our opening hymn is number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath. Little ones in the congregation today, but I still have a children's story. Yesterday was a very busy day. Thank you to all of you who joined in the activities we had yesterday. A beautiful and touching memorial service for Neil Yesu. And then later in the day, a fundraiser in collaboration with the symphony, which was a great success. And I imagine you're all tired. So thank you for showing up. At the memorial service yesterday, I met a family who was very close to Neil and Diane. And in my conversation with the parents, they said that yesterday was the first time their children, who I think were 9 and 11 or 9 and 12, had been to any kind of a memorial service or funeral. And it was the first time that they had experienced the loss of someone who was close to them. And we talked about what a privilege it is to be in the Unitarian Universalist faith, where we have the opportunity to memorialize people in a way that is so true to their spirit. And we have the opportunity to say, I don't know, and it's a mystery, when kids ask, what happens? What happened to Neil? Where is Neil now? And so I thought I would read this children's book that has often informed how I talk with kids, my kids and other kids, when it comes to the question of death. The title is Waterbugs and Dragonflies, and Allie's going to help us see some of the images on the screen as well. Down below the surface of a quiet pond lived a little colony of waterbugs. They were a happy colony living far away from the sun. For many months, they were very busy scurrying over the soft mud at the bottom of the pond. They did notice, however, that every once in a while, one of their colonies seemed to lose interest in going about with its friends. Clinging to the stem of a pond lily, it gradually moved out of sight and was seen no more. Look, said one of the water bugs to another one of our colony members is climbing up the lily stalk. Where do you suppose it's going? Up, up, up it went slowly, even as they watched the water bug disappear from sight. Its friends waited and waited, but it didn't return. That's funny, said one water bug to the other. Wasn't she happy here? Where do you suppose she went? No one had an answer. They were all very puzzled. Finally, one of the water bugs, a leader in the colony, gathered its friends together. I have an idea. The next time one of us climbs up the lily stalk, we must promise to come back and tell where we've gone. We promise. They all promised together. One spring day, not long after the very water bug who had led this conversation felt compelled to also move up the water lily stalk. Up, up, up he went. Before he knew what was happening, he had broken through the surface of the water and fallen on to a broad green leaf of a lily pad. Here he is. When he awoke, he looked about with surprise. He couldn't believe what he saw. A startling change had come to his old body. His movement revealed 4 silver wings and a long tail, and even as he struggled, he felt an impulse to move his wings. The warmth of the sun soon dried the moisture from his new body, and he moved his wings and suddenly found himself up above the water. He had become a dragonfly. Swooping and dipping in great curves, he flew through the air. He felt exhilarated in the new atmosphere. By and by, the new dragonfly lighted happily on a lily pad to rest. Then, it was by chance that he was looking down into the pond water. Why, he was right above his old friends, the water bugs. There they were, scurrying about just as he had been doing. He doesn't know how much time had passed, but he was down there with them. The dragonfly remembered the promise. The next one of us who climbs out the lily stalk will come back and tell where he or she went and why. And so without thinking, the dragonfly darted down. He hit the surface of the water and bounded away. Now that he was a dragonfly, he couldn't go back under the water. I can't return, he said in dismay. But I have tried. I can't keep my promise, though. Even if I could go back, not one of the water bugs would know me in my new body. I guess maybe I could wait until they become dragonflies too, and then they'll understand what happened to me and where I went. and the dragonfly winged off happily into its wonderful new world of sun and air. This is a true story. This is the life cycle of a water bug and a dragonfly. We don't really know what happens to our bodies when we die and we leave this physical earth. It's a mystery, and one we have to live with. But it's important that we talk about it, and we talk about it to each other and to children as well, and help them understand in whatever ways they might be able to. So thank you.
Thank you for that beautiful story, Sue. What a mystery. What a beautiful mystery. And I imagine that most of you know, and some of you have participated in the beautiful program around end of life, quality of life, what we want, that Reverend Sue and Mary Studer have been holding this month. It's really, truly a way for us to get in touch with what happens or what we want to happen or who we are or what's important to us. And I know we all thank them for opening this up for us because it's a difficult topic to talk about. So I've been attending the book group and have read the book that I think Reverend Sue is going to talk about a little bit more. And it's really opened up a lot of issues for me and had me thinking about what might happen in my future, but also about what might happen, what has happened in my past. And so I'd like to share with you a little bit of a story about Aunt Virginia. I hope you'll indulge me a little bit. And I'll just say that one of the things that Aunt Virginia's story teaches me is that life is complicated, end of life is complicated, and it's filled with gray areas, with mysteries, just like the dragonfly. So thank you for indulging me. In keeping with my grandparents' Sicilian immigrant status, I grew up in a two-family house. My family on one side, my grandparents and my Aunt Virginia and my Aunt Mary on the other side. And Aunt Virginia was like a mother to me. She taught me to read. She studied geography. Remember when you had to learn all the capitals of the states? I remember her quizzing me on those capitals. And I often ate dinner with her and many other things. She stayed living on that side of the house in a very, very small town for over 80 years. This was the town she was born in. She lived in that house. She nursed her parents, my grandparents, and my Aunt Mary as they died. She never married or she had children, but she was the postmaster in a small town. And if you've ever lived in a small town, you know that the postmaster knows everybody and knows everything. So Aunt Virginia was well connected for 80 years in this town. And she and I, and Peter, remained connected and deeply, deeply connected as family. But you know, I never talked with Aunt Virginia about any end-of-life issues. I never asked her what was the most important to her. And I realized as I was thinking about this that during that time period, I was a social worker on a cancer unit, and I talked about these things with other people all the time. But I never spoke with Aunt Virginia about it. Maybe I thought I loved her so much and knew her that I knew everything that she wanted. Maybe I thought she was going to live forever. I'm just not quite sure. So as time went on, she had a fall and suffered a stroke, and she was barely conscious. So Peter and I put her in an ambulance and moved her up to Maine, where we were living at the time, because we wanted to be close to her. I don't know that she ever would have wanted to leave that town, but we had never discussed it, and there was no good plan, we didn't think. Eventually, she moved into assisted living, and we did the best to surround her with family, but we couldn't replace all those lifelong friends and connections. And she never quite adjusted to assisted living because she insisted on calling everyone there by the names of her friends that she remembered from the small town. And they did not like that at all. In some ways, I felt like she never really left that town. She, in her mind, made this place the small town. And I don't know if it was best to move her up because, again, we had never discussed that. A few years after we moved her to Maine, she had another stroke and lost consciousness and was taken to the hospital. And she was breathing on her own, but there didn't seem to be anything behind her eyes. But we were lucky because Dr. Haynes was her doctor. And because we were in a small town, we knew Dr. Haynes, to say hello. And I also knew that he had been working with hospice a little bit. So he approached us and said, I could do surgery, could give her a little bit of extended life, but I don't think she's ever going to come back. And of course, at that moment, I wish I'd talked to her. What would she want? What did she want? So we decided to let her go, although I don't know if that was the best decision because I just didn't know what she wanted. Could have been that having the surgery was better for her. But I really, really, really appreciated Dr. Haynes because I don't think a lot of doctors are comfortable talking about this subject. And I don't know that I would have been brave enough to bring it up myself and to ask him not to do the surgery. So one thing that I learned is being brave is important. It's not my best quality, but being brave to talk to those that you love about what they need and what they want, and being brave in the medical system, which is sometimes very hard, can be really important. So when we decided to let her go, we took her back to the facility she was in under hospice care. And my childhood friend Colleen came over, who knew Aunt Virginia for childhood, and we didn't know what she wanted, so we decided, since she was a traditional Catholic, she would like us to sing her hymns, and that she'd like us to sing them in Latin. Well, it was August, but really the only Latin we knew were Christmas carols. So we were singing Christmas carols by her bedside, and I think the nurses thought we were kind of crazy, and to be honest, we thought we were doing, we thought this was a good thing. She might have thought, oh my gosh, I wish that they would just be quiet. This is like noise. Maybe she would like opera or silence or Mozart or something. But anyway, we did the best that we could. And I hope that doing the best we can with love is what we can all do. And I hope that I have the courage both to talk to my loved ones about what I would like, and also to bring the conversation up with others. I think that the other thing that that I've learned is that you have to do your best, and hopefully that's good enough. I hope it was good enough for Aunt Virginia. And I hope that we can all act with openness, courage, bravery, and most of all, with love. May it be so. Thank you. And now, I invite you to commit to a time of meditation and contemplation as we move into our stones of intention ritual. If you have a stone with you, I invite you to hold it in your hands, maybe next to your heart, wherever it feels right to you. If you don't have a stone, just imagine that you're holding a stone. Let the stone embody your joys, your sorrows, your intentions, your milestones. Maybe this stone honors a loved one that you're journeying with now, or that you've journeyed with before. And I ask you to hold this in your heart as we begin our Stones of Intention ritual. And before I ask you to come forward with your stones, I'd like to place some stones. The first stone is in honor of our friend Neil Yesu, whose celebration of life we had yesterday, and who was a joy to each of us who knew him. This stone, for something I imagine we're all holding, for peace in the Middle East, for all the Israelis and all the Palestinians and everyone there who has suffered or will suffer. May they find a way to peace. And also a stone for peace in Ukraine, for all those who are affected by that war and who are suffering. May we find peace in the world and peace in our hearts. So, if you're on Zoom today, you can click in the chat box and join your stone with all in this beloved community. And as you hold your stone with your joys, sorrows, and intentions, I invite you to come forward during the music meditation. If you don't have a stone with you, you can get one from the baskets in the front. Please come forward. And now a final stone is placed for all that remains in our hearts. May our prayers be heard, and may our hearts be restored.
Let us join our hearts in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Our prayer today was written by a colleague of mine, Susie Gelberg. And it's the prayer I want to say every week now. Every week. If you're comfortable, close your eyes and listen to her words. I will hold your pain today. I will wrap it in my heart and keep it safe while you fall to your knees. While you cry, I will hold out my hands to catch the sacred waters, and I will bathe you clean with them and stand guard over you as you prostrate yourself on the mother's floor. A light will shine from your pure, holy pain. The ravaged cries from your heart will not be unheard. I will listen and join your voice into a song of fury and disbelief that reaches the highest heavens. You can scream and gnash and swear and collapse, and I will be sure that you are protected in the shade, and I will take that pain and stroke it into a shining orb, and I will hold it for you until you can get your breath back. And then I will give you my hand as your knees buckle and the sun rises on your face again. And I will honor that which I hold. I will cradle it as a little new baby, keeping it safe and rocking it so the cries stop. I will do this, not because I am strong, but because I am weak. And I know that as soon as it grows too heavy for me to bear, I will turn to the one who stands behind me, and she will reach out and take it from me as my knees buckle. And so it will go. A holy light passing from hand to outstretched hand. The communion of pain that transforms into strength through love. A choir of ravaged voices that sings for relief until the notes hit with such pure intensity that we are born anew. We will hold your pain for you. Blessed be, and amen. I love that prayer because the pain is never named. It is whatever pain may be in our hearts. So Mary Studer and I got together months ago and decided to do some more programming. And I don't know exactly how we came to this, except that Soul Matters, which is an organization that we get some resources from, said October is Heritage Month. I preached about legacy a few weeks ago, but honestly, legacy and heritage, it really means death. So Mary and I started calling this Death Month. It's not a very compelling topic. It's interesting too, because as Mary mentioned, we're not so good at talking about death. I'll tell you a little bit more about that after. Powerful, sometimes sad, sometimes serious, sometimes humorous, exploring the end of life. We've touched on so many aspects. Where and with whom do we live at the end of our life? What happens if we get sick? What are our fears? What will we lose? How do we plan financially, mentally, with friends and relatives and more? And we've talked about preparations we can make, powers of attorney, wills, final wishes, hospice options, assisted living, nursing care. At the same time, during Death Month, Mary Studer has been organizing programs before the service addressing similar issues and more, including how we age in place, our financial planning, death with dignity. What is a death doula? I am so grateful for our tool, for our book group, for Mary, because it has given us permission to have hard conversations. There is so much to understand and to feel and to reflect on, and yet frequently we are very reluctant to have these conversations, especially when it comes to us or our close family members. Not as hard, as Mary mentioned, when you're in a professional role, to do it for the others. I looked through a lot of my sermons. I've been doing this for a while. And I realized I have never preached on this topic. Then I called my friend Lori. Lori and I have a pact. We're best friends. We also have a shared Google Drive, if you know what that is. And our pact with each other is that as soon as we finish a sermon or a liturgy, we put it in the shared drive and we say, you may take all of it or some of it or none of it, because we learn from each other and we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And sometimes we come to a week when we're stuck. And I said, Lori, I went through the shared drive. I can't find anything. Have you ever preached on the end of life in these questions that we face? And she looked and looked and looked and looked. And she said, nope. Collectively, we have more than 50 years of preaching. It struck me that we're afraid, we're uncomfortable, we're not courageous. I don't know, but we don't talk about it. In my own life, as a person who's very well acquainted with funerals, I have probably done more than 500. And yet, I have conversations with my parents, and my mom is convinced that if she doesn't talk about her funeral, she won't die. She's 83 years old, and she's happy to say, you kids, you 3 kids, you're stuck. You're stuck with cleaning out the house and doing whatever you need to do, because she's not going to talk about it. It's true. And yet, every person who I have ever met who has read the book Being Mortal says it should be required reading for everyone. And sometimes they start out and they say it should be required reading for everyone who's 60. But then they think and they're like, no, actually, it should be required reading for everyone who's 20. Mary's story illustrates for us, and so many of you in this room have experienced direct experience with caring for a loved one at the end of their life, how important it is that we understand how to make decisions and make choices for ourselves and for our loved ones. If you had to make a choice right now for a loved one between ICU and hospice, what would you most need to know from them? What would you be willing to endure yourself, or ask the question of another? What would you be able or willing to endure for the possibility of more time? In the book, he tells a story of a woman named Susan who's caring for her father. And they have these hard conversations. And what she learns is that his feeling, his deep feeling, is that as long as he's able to eat chocolate ice cream and watch football on television, He wants more time. You laugh, and it sounds silly. But in a future moment, she was actually able to say to the doctor, if my dad has this surgery, when he comes out of surgery, will he be able to eat chocolate ice cream and watch television, watch football on television? And that's what informed her decision when he was unable to decide for himself. So you hear this in theory, and I've heard this in theory, and I was in a book group when this book first came out, and I don't know how many years ago that was, 10 or 15 years ago. And yet, I don't think I've had this conversation either. So I'm going to make you do some work today. Instead of just listening to a whole bunch of words, I want you at this moment to really think about what would you be willing to endure or not for the possibility of more time. And to make that easier and simple, I call it, what is your quality of life test? What is the minimum standard of living for you to want to continue? For Atul's dad, it was to be able to contribute, to be able to relate to the people around him and still do the work that he was doing with his Rotary Club. For Susan's dad, it was chocolate ice cream and football on TV. I know for my dad, it's, can I have a Yingling and a game of cribbage? Maybe it's watching the sunset, your independence, your mobility. I want you to think about it right now, and not only do I want you to think about it, I want you to take that little piece of paper card that you have and a pen or a pencil, and I actually want you to write it down. I want you to write down on this card, what is your chocolate ice cream and football? Maybe John can actually play a few lines so you can think about it during this moment. I hope you've written something down. It's hard. Once you have, I want you to fold that little piece of paper up, and I want you to put it in your purse or in your wallet or in your pocket if you're convinced you're not going to wash it tonight. Because I want you to open up your purse or your wallet or reach in your pocket and feel that piece of paper so that it reminds you that you need to have these conversations. Because this is only step one. Step two is sharing your little piece of paper, and just blame the crazy Reverend Sue for making you have this conversation with your family or your partner or your kids or your loved ones or your friend or whomever it is who might be in a position of making these decisions for you at the end of life when you can't. So don't throw it away until you have had that conversation. It may take a while because it's hard. But I want you not only to listen to the words on a Sunday morning and think about, oh, that was a nice service or a nice sermon, and thank you, Mary, for sharing about your aunt. I want it to move you to action. Because it is a gift and a blessing not only for yourself, but for those people around you. So fold it up, stick it away, and join me in singing our hymn, What Wondrous Love.
One of the ways that we live our spiritual values in the world is by making them real through the form of a financial contribution. I invite you to enliven your commitment to this community and be generous in giving to support the work of this congregation. Each month, we also donate to a local community sharing organization that shares our values. Our community sharing partner this month is Planned Parenthood of Southwest and Central Florida. The mission of Planned Parenthood of Southwest and Central Florida is to provide affordable access to comprehensive sexual and reproductive health care and accurate health information through patient care, education, and advocacy. And as many of you know, this congregation has a special relationship with Planned Parenthood of Southwest Florida. And Planned Parenthood is under attack these days, so please give generously. All undesignated contributions will be received by our community sharing partner. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Ding
Please rise as you are able and join with me in our words of gratitude. By the work of our hands and the work of our hearts, our love is made real. May we be grateful for all that is given and grateful for all that is shared. We extinguish the chalice now with the words that are printed on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing hymn is number 128, For All That Is Our Life. Closing words, again, are by Atul. In the end, people don't view their life as merely the average of all its moments, which after all is mostly nothing, plus some sleep. For human beings, life is meaningful because it is a story as a sense of a whole, and it's an arc determined by significant moments, the ones where something happens. Measurements of people's minute-by-minute levels of pleasure and pain miss this fundamental aspect of human existence. A seemingly happy life may be empty. A seemingly difficult life may be devoted to a great cause. We have a purpose larger than ourselves. Let us all go in peace.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Please join us for coffee and conversation in Hobart Hall to the right as you leave the sanctuary. If you're on Zoom, you may remain on Zoom. Our regular facilitators are all here in person, so you may have a conversation among yourselves. If you haven't already completed a connection card, please do so now. And we look forward to seeing you all next Sunday. Go in peace.